Hi, I'm Heather from here booktubes, and today's Virgin romance recommendations. A lot of people cannot stand this trope, and yet it exists so much that you have to assume some people like it. These are ones that I enjoyed. I thought that the virginity made sense in some way, and I liked the way that it played into the story. My very first one is A Heart, Blood, and Ashes by Milla Vane. This is one of my favorite books of the year so far. It is a fantasy romance, and we have a princess who is disabled and weak and frail because of captivity, but she is the smartest character you maybe have ever read about, and I loved watching her and the way that she dealt with things and the way that she interacted with everyone. I just adored her with my whole heart. We have a barbarian general who is out for revenge, and he's specifically out for revenge against her and her family because they killed his parents, and he's been told that she specifically led his parents to their death. So he intercepts her and captures her and is going to kill her, and she's like, you know what would actually be like the best revenge against my dad is if you got me pregnant and then I could rule my kingdom and take it away from him, and he would value that much more than me. If you get rid of me, you're literally just doing him a favor. And so they set off to make her his, and they're on a journey and they're trying to avoid her dad's men, and her being a virgin plays a big part in this because he is like, well, I'll just take you now, and she's like, I'm a virgin. And they have this thing where if it's a sin against the goddess to not have your virginity taken at like a specific part of the moon or something like that, and it's a sin against the goddess to rape a virgin and things like that, and the gods and the goddesses are pretty prevalent in the story. And this is fascinating because you have a man who is completely blinded by his need for revenge and his first impressions and the things that he thought at the beginning, but he's also a good guy who's doing things that you're like, oh dude, you're gonna regret that. But so there are some power dynamics that are dark or where she doesn't have the power, but ultimately he kind of is still a good person and treating her well. It's just very interesting how they do it. And this is kind of a dark fantasy romance, but it's not any darker than an adult fantasy, straight up fantasy that you are going to read. There's some violence, there's some steam, and there are some uncomfortable moments. Then I have Breathe by Kristen Ashley. This is the fourth book in the Colorado Mountain series, but you can read it as a standalone. She's like a 30-year-old virgin, and it kind of comes across as she's been in love with him for a while, and it wasn't that she was saving herself for him, but like she just didn't care. She's a reader, she has a vibrator, she doesn't really care, and that plays a heavy role in their dynamics. He's a police officer who was kind of blackmailed into a bad situation, which we saw earlier in the series, and is now trying to make up for it. And that's very interesting. He finally, it's not that he didn't notice her before, it's kind of that he was not ready to get married yet, and she was like wife material. I hate this dynamic, but whatever. She was wife material, he wasn't ready to get married yet, so he was messing around, and then he got trapped in a bad marriage, which was probably the blackmail thing, and gave up hope that he would ever get out of it. Now that's over, and he has to be convinced that he's good enough for her, but it doesn't take too long. And it's good times. It's romantic suspense. I don't remember what trigger warnings might be in it, so you might want to look that up if you do need them. A lot of Kristen Ashley's books do have some sort of trigger or content warning needed, so be aware of that, but I'm really not sure what it is. Then I have Taste, a Vampire Quickie by Nikki, Clarke. I loved this one because she's a 200-year-old vampire, but she literally can't have sex with anybody. Like, she cannot. It's not that she's a virgin so much, she can't reach completion. I think that's fascinating, and she's tired of being alone, so she decides to make a vampire, and so she throws a party, and she's going to pick somebody to turn into a vampire, and when she does, this guy shows up, and he can make her come, and it's their romance. It is black love, there was a lot of history, a very fun take on the vampires, steam, banter, all in a short novella. It was great. Then I have Playing for Keeps by Matthewson. This is the first in the Neighbor from Hell series. She's a virgin, and you know, she has glasses, so can't be attractive with glasses. It's It kills me, I'm not gonna lie. However, she has glasses and she's like the cutest little thing. And they are enemies for like a chapter because she hates him because they had a misunderstanding. And then they go from enemies to friends to lovers. And it's fun because they're like trying to find dates for each other while also not realizing how completely they're falling for each other. And he takes her virginity and it is a mess. He screws up. Oh, he has to grovel. He just, you want to smack him, but it is an important plot point in the book. And they have The Professional, which is Game Maker #1 by Kresley Cole. She's a virgin, he's mafia. Turns out she's a long-lost mafia princess. He's Russian mafia, and there's BDSM elements, and he's alpha, and there's all sorts of suspense elements, and I loved it. It was steamy, wild, over the top. It was great. And I had Misadventures of a College Girl by Rowe. This one, she's trying to get rid of her virginity, so she picks a football player at her first party at college and is like, well, football players, they're notorious players, and I'll be able to get him to take my virginity, no problem. Well, he's on board until he realizes that she's a virgin, and then he says, hey, let's not do it this way, let's do it a different way. And so he literally sets out like a course of instruction for her, and it's a very healthy relationship, super cute and funny also. I really enjoyed their banter, and it is a very well done new adult romance. Then I have The Wolf's Mail Order Bride by Ella Goode. This one, the hero is a virgin and she is not. So the hero is a werewolf and she is a human and she's his fated mate. And she shows up and he knows that she's his mate right away and she doesn't know. And he's been saving himself for his mate and she hasn't, because she didn't even know that mate thing existed. And he does not have a problem with it. He's like, of course I'd have a problem with it now, but before you didn't know I existed, like, it's fine. And I loved that. I loved that while he had saved himself for her, he understood why she wouldn't have and did not hold that against her at all. That was a great dynamic. It is a novella. I really enjoyed it. Then I have Chastely, Bitten, which is Blood Alliance #1 by Lexi C. Foss. She's a blood virgin, so her blood is especially tasty and she's not allowed to be touched, even though this is a very violent world where humans don't have rights, but she's being sold, or it's just their turn or something with the paranormals. They get the blood virgins, and so nothing can be done to her until her owner, for all intents and purposes, gets her. It turns out that's her fated mate. He wants to use her as a weapon to bring down the society that gives humans no rights. It is dark, and it's very interesting to watch the power dynamics between a supernatural who's never going to pretend to be human or to have human emotions, and a human who has been brainwashed her entire life, just like all of humanity at this point, to think that the supernaturals are all powerful and that this is the way the world has always been. It's my favorite. It's my favorite. This is my favorite vampire series. It's bloody, it's brutal, it's smutty, and the couples are charming. Then I have Ace of Hearts, which is FU High #1 by Ella Goode. This is a high school novella romance, and they are dual virgins. And he's the new football player, she's the smart girl. She has some prejudice against football players because the ones there are a little bit douches, and he's like, that's not how I am at all. And it's so cute because right away he like talks to her in the food court or something, and then he goes and is talking to his mom and she's like, what were you doing? He's like, I met my future wife. And it's just really cute, and I loved them. I loved them. Lastly, I have Hefty by Jessa Kane. This is a high school romance with a plus-sized hero. So he is larger, he is a linebacker, and he has a thing for his sister's best friend. His sister's best friend has a thing for him, and the sister knows the best friend likes him, but she doesn't know that he likes her. And she just keeps trying, and he's like not taking the hint because he thinks she's completely out of his league. He has really bad self-esteem about his size, and that does get better throughout the novella. They're both virgins. They get down and at it quickly, and it was just smutty and over the top and fun, and I really enjoyed their dynamics, and he was so cute and she was so sweet. I just loved it. So that's it. Those are my Virgin recommendations. Is this something that you actively look for or actively avoid? I would love to know any of your recommendations. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!